We're testing down there is the issue of artistic freedom of expression, and it's a significant issue, and the trial is very interesting.
Jim Morrison, a name synonymous with the Doors, psychedelic rock music, and the Lizard King. He was a symbol of rebellion and freedom in the 1960s. However, behind that charismatic persona lay a much more complex figure. Jim Morrison was a thinker, tormented by his own curiosity. He was not just a vocalist with a beautiful voice and captivating appearance. Morrison was an intellectual who thirsted for knowledge. Behind the poetic and meaningful lyrics of the Doors songs lay his love of philosophy and literature. He studied the works of Nietzsche, Rimbaud, and Blake, searching for answers to existential questions about life and death. Morrison's inner struggle became an integral part of his story, a narcissist caught between a desire for freedom and a sense of alienation from the world. He saw himself as an intelligent and sensitive being, yet had a tendency to destroy everything at crucial moments. Morrison is a living paradox. He is a rock star adored by millions, yet he craves freedom. James Douglas Morrison, or Jim Morrison as we know him, was born in Melbourne, Florida on December 8, 1943. His childhood was marked by constant relocation because his father, George Stephen Morrison, was an officer in the United States Navy. This nomadic lifestyle took little Jim to various places, from Florida to California and even Hawaii. Despite moving around frequently, there was one event that left a lasting impression on Jim Morrison and is believed to have deeply affected his soul. When he was 4 years old in the New Mexico desert, he witnessed a car accident that killed a group of Native Americans. Little Morrison was shocked to see the victims lying on the road. After that incident, he believed that the souls of the accident victims had entered him. He later wrote about this traumatic event in the song Peace Frog. Family influence also played a significant role in Jim Morrison's development. His father, who had a military career, was a disciplined and authoritarian figure, while his mother, Clara Virginia Morrison, was a loving housewife. Morrison's relationship with his father was quite tense, and he tended to be closer to his mother. His nomadic childhood, traumatic experiences, family influences, and intellectual interests shaped Jim Morrison's complex and contradictory personality. "1965 was an important year for the world of rock and roll. It was then that Jim Morrison first met Ray Manzarek, an encounter that led to the formation of the Doors, a band that would change the face of rock and roll music forever. Morrison, with his dark poetry and rebellious attitude, met Manzarek, a talented keyboardist with an interest in classical and jazz music. The two were connected by their desire to break the boundaries of mainstream rock music at the time. They were like two sides of the same coin. Morrison with his magical lyrics and Manzarek with his expressive music. Soon after, they recruited Robbie Krieger and John Densmore to complete the Doors lineup. The Doors quickly stole the spotlight on the Los Angeles music scene. Their explosive live performances and Morrison's wild and unpredictable stage persona always mesmerized audiences. The Doors members called Morrison a shaman because he always seemed to transport the audience to another dimension. The Doors' music was a unique blend of rock, blues, jazz, and poetry. Morrison's poetic and philosophical lyrics, combined with moody and psychedelic music, created a deep and transformative musical experience. They later became a symbol of popular culture in the 60s, an era filled with social, political, and cultural change. As a musician and poet, Jim Morrison wrote poems that reflected his inner struggles and his view of the world. From a young age, Morrison was captivated by the beauty and power of words. He wrote poetry throughout his life, pouring his thoughts and emotions into dark yet beautiful verses. Morrison's writing style was influenced by symbolist poets such as Arthur Rimbaud and Charles Baudelaire. Symbolism in literature emphasizes the use of symbols and metaphors to express emotions and ideas. Baudelaire, with his exploration of beauty, decadence, and the dark side of the human soul, and Rimbaud, with his visionary and rebellious writing style, influenced Morrison's writing style, both in his song lyrics and his poetry, which are often dark, mysterious, and full of images of death, freedom, human consciousness, and the nature of reality. The nickname Lizard King attached to Morrison is also related to his poetic side. This nickname refers to a line in his poem, Celebration of the Lizard. I am the Lizard King, I can do anything. Morrison uses the image of a lizard as a symbol of primal power. He sees lizards as creatures that are free and able to adapt to any environment. Lizard King also represents Morrison's wild and unpredictable stage persona. He often moved like a reptile on stage, with a sharp gaze and hypnotic movements. The poem and the nickname Lizard King are two important elements that shape Jim Morrison's image as a complex and visionary artist. He uses words and symbols to express himself and explore the depths of the human soul. He challenges social norms, authority, and all forms of restrictions that curb individual freedom. He rejected traditional values that he considered oppressive and limiting to self-expression. On stage, Morrison was a wild figure. He often provoked the audience with his extreme behavior. He danced with erotic movements, screamed hoarsely, and even stripped himself naked. One of the biggest controversies he caused was the incident at a concert in Miami in 1969. Morrison allegedly exposed his genitals on stage, although this remains a matter of debate to this day. This incident led to Morrison's arrest and criminal charges. As a critical and profound thinker, he was greatly influenced by various philosophers and writers, especially existentialist philosophers such as Nietzsche and Albert Camus. Nietzsche, with his concept of the Übermensch, or superhuman who transcends conventional moral boundaries, and Camus, with his ideas about rebellion against the absurdity of existence, provided Morrison with a framework for seeking absolute individual freedom. Overall, Jim Morrison's thinking was a unique blend of existentialist philosophy and symbolist literature. He absorbed ideas from these philosophers and poets, then processed them and expressed them through his music, poetry, and stage persona. Paris, July 3, 1971. The city of love bore silent witness to the passing of rock legend Jim Morrison. In a modest apartment in Le Marais, the Lizard King breathed his last at the young age of 27. His mysterious death left his fans in deep mourning and became one of the darkest chapters in rock music history. Morrison arrived in Paris in March 1971 with Pamela Courson, his girlfriend. He wanted to get away from the hustle and bustle of the entertainment industry and focus on writing poetry. Paris, with its rich artistic and cultural atmosphere, seemed like the perfect escape for Jim Morrison. However, his dream of finding peace in the city of love was shattered. Morrison, who was still struggling with his addiction, fell further into despair in Paris. His health deteriorated, his cough worsened, and he often experienced shortness of breath. On the night of July 3, 1971, Morrison and Pamela spent time together in their apartment. They listened to music, read books, and talked late into the night. According to Pamela's testimony, Morrison felt unwell and decided to take a hot shower. Shortly thereafter, Pamela found Morrison unconscious in the bathtub. She panicked and immediately called a doctor. However, it was too late. The doctor pronounced Morrison dead. The official cause of death was listed as heart failure, but no autopsy was performed. This led to much speculation and conspiracy theories surrounding his death. Some people believe that Morrison faked his own death. Morrison's death was a great loss to the music world. He left behind a rich and inspiring legacy. 2 collections of his poetry, The Lords and the New Creatures and An American Prayer, were published after his death and reveal another side of the legend. He is remembered as a bold, honest, and visionary artist. The Lizard King is gone, but his work lives on in every form of rock music we know today.